Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Good evening and welcome to the Vic Akers Wonderland podcast. I am your host Lottie, and tonight I am joined by one of my very special friends, Georgina, all the way down in Cornwall, which is really awesome because I haven't had her on a podcast in a while. How are you, G?
Yeah, really good, thanks. I'm excited to be part of this evening, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, always a pleasure. I mean, we've got something else cooking up for the summer to keep the podcast going, which we will announce a little bit later. And as always, I am joined by two of my other favourite co-hosts, Matt and Adam. Matt, you're back. We missed you in the last one. Where was you?
I was at the Merseyside derby and
you traded us into the football.
And not even an Arsenal game.
Yeah.
Well, it's women's football.
Adam said it, not me.
There was a lot of women's games, especially with it being non-league and women's football week. It was just a chance to go in and watch more football and really take it all in and get to learn a little bit more about the league as well.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I did watch a fair few WSL games myself this weekend. Adam, how are you?
Just enjoyed the weekend. Had was quite rightly picked apart for my controversial views on Twitter on certain WSL results, and rightly got picked up on it. So when we break down later, I shall apologise for that. Just looking forward to what's due to come later this week.
Oh no, definitely. Going to be a busy week. It's going to be a tough week again, that's for sure. But the England squad's been announced, which is really quite exciting. So in goalkeepers, we've got Mary Earps from Man United, Hannah Hampton from Villa, Sandy McIver from City, and Ellie Roebuck from City. Defenders, we've got Millie Bright, who will probably be pulled out because she hasn't been playing. Apparently she's going to play midweek, but I don't believe Emma Hayes. Got Lucy Bronze, Jess Carter, Neem Charles, Alex Greenwood, Maya Letizia, Esme Morgan, Lucy Parker, and Leah Williamson. In the midfield, we've got Laura Coombs, Jordan Nobbs, Jessica Park, Georgia Stanway, Ella Toone, Kira Walsh. It's so good to see Kira Walsh come home. Staying with Lucy Bronze. Really excited for that. Forwards, Rachel Daly has been named as a forward and not a defender.
It's a shame.
We've got Lauren Hemp, Lauren James, Kelly, Katie Robinson, and as well as Alicia Russo. I mean, I'm quite excited the fact that Rachel Daly has been mentioned as a forward. I have only glanced at this earlier, but she's doing the bits this season.
She's doing it for Villa, that's for sure.
Oh no, definitely. I really did. I know Leicester got absolutely demolished over the weekend, but I did enjoy that game. That was a very good game for sure. Gee, what do you make of the England team that are going up against Brazil and Australia over the international break?
Yeah, I mean, it always does sort of spark discussions, the team sheet, doesn't it? Regardless of who's in and out and who should be in and out. What always baffles me is how there's 4 goalkeepers and 2 play for the same team. So you're like, what? Why? What is the point? You've missed an opportunity. I think there's 5 midfielders and 4 goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Like obviously you can only play 11, but it just baffles me that you spend that extra player there rather than bring in someone else. I think one of the names missing, and I know Matt will touch on it a little bit more in a bit, but Katie Zellum, she's the Manchester United captain.
Mm-hmm.
I think she can have her off days, but she is a very good set piece player. I don't think she would ever start for England for me over some of the other names, but the fact she's never really in and around the Lionesses just sort of baffles me, really. But
Got to be honest with you, I don't agree with you with that, I'm afraid, for once, and we never disagree.
Yeah.
I get the set piece thing, but I don't see how she fits in with this team. It just doesn't work for me. I wasn't impressed when she first came along into England.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, please, this is torture, especially when she got picked over Jordan Nobbs. That irritated me. I know she's moved over to Villa, but Jordan Nobbs will always be a favourite amongst us Arsenal fans. I know I've got my Arsenal hat on here, but
It's a nice hat.
Jordan, quite literally. But Jordan has had a much better this season than Katie Salem. And she's only been at Villa for half a season. So, Matt, let's come to you on Katie Salem. I know you've got a big smile on your face right now, but what do you think about her not making the cut?
I'm so happy. I'm going to be honest. You got a few of these Man United players that are in there. I know the last time we were all four of us were in, it was the Euros final that we were reviewing over just over a year and just nearly over a year now. But at that time, I was very critical of a lot of the Man United players. Maria did really well to come out and be one of the best goalkeepers. I was bigging up Alessia Russo because she was doing so well. And then you had someone like Katie Salem who missed out. And now she's missed out again. And I look at Brazil as a team, and what they're going to do is they're going to try and come to Wembley and dominate play, especially in the midfield. And if you look at how Katie Salem does, she gives the ball away far too easily. She is probably, I'm trying to describe her as nicely as possible, but I can't. She basically, if you were to look at her playing in the Sunday League team, she's that player that plays in the midfield, thinks that she can take on the world, and then she'll take a touch and she'll lose it.
Yeah.
When I was looking through the squad as well, it was a bit curious to see Sandy McIver, as G's already mentioned, fourth goalkeeper. She's only played 3 WSL games this season. She's conceded 2. She's only made 4 saves as well in that time. Lucy Parker, another one that I was a bit surprised about. Again, this is another player that's been brought up through the under-23s, 24 years old, playing for West Ham. 2 sub appearances, 6 starts. 127 passes completed out of 205 attempted, 26 tackles that she's done, 18 of those have been won, 10 blocks, and a total of 37 tackles and interceptions. She is right-footed centre back. Questionable why she was brought in. If I'm honest, there was a better option in that I was watching, and I have been watching for a fair while, who I quite enjoy watching. Is left-footed. She can play centre back. She can play on the wing. Very much a Katie McCabe-esque in how she scored quite good goals. Unfortunately, I did miss her goal against for Everton because I went to go and look for food.
Oh no, that's the worst thing you can do.
So, Gabby George, she was I just think this season she's stepped up such a gear.
Some goal.
Yeah, and it was 100 WSL appearance.
Yeah.
What a way to commemorate it. That was a wicked goal. I will say that because I've seen that on the highlights.
She scored another belter this season against West Ham. Not West Ham. It was Villa. So
nobody gets past Villa nowadays, though. So that's pretty impressive.
It was one that should have been at least considered. But then again, you've got Jess Park in there. Jess Park's a fantastic player as well.
Yeah.
Always one to look out for. It'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the season, whether or not she ends up leaving Man City or staying. The other one that I did have a bit of a question mark over was Katie Robinson again. There's question marks over whether she's a midfielder or an attacker. She mainly plays as a winger. In 14 WSL games, she's only scored 2 and assists 2. And for a player to be playing at Brighton and to be so close to the relegation zone, and you've only scored 2 goals and only gotten 3 assists, it's not really a cause of celebration.
No.
And if I look further on, it's 1 FA Cup goal as well, and you haven't even scored in the League Cup. It's leaving a lot of question marks, and she doesn't fill that Beth Mead hole in that England team for me.
No, definitely not. That's a big bit. To be fair, that's a big pair of boots to fill. I'm not saying Beth Mead's got big feet, but that's a big pair of boots to fill, if you know what I mean, talent-wise. I mean, I know you boys completely disagree with me, but there was glimpses of Gio that had like a Beth sort of essence about it, but it wasn't quite Beth Mead.
No.
Because she's still way too raw for me. Yeah. But it's the same energy down on the wing for me. Adam, what have you made of the England team?
I think there's a really interesting omission that none of you talked about, and that's England. Beth England is not in the team.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, she's the second. She's second top goal scorer behind Bunny Shaw, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Or Rachel Daly, one of the two.
She's second highest league. She's behind Vivian Miedemar in the scoring stakes now.
Wow.
In the W. And the thing is, she left Chelsea. She left Chelsea because she wasn't getting game time to get to England to get the England set up. You can insert your own jokes there. And she's scoring for Spurs. I mean, I think she's the only player scoring.
She scored 5 and 6, if I remember rightly now, because obviously the stats have changed from the last podcast because it was 4 and 5 when we were talking about the preview before.
Tucked that penalty away, but she scored the goal against Leicester to get them the win. She is a very, 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 very good striker, reliable striker. And you would have thought with Beth Mead out, there might be room for another Beth. But intriguingly, Serena has said no. Yeah. And instead gone with the likes of Katie Robinson and Jess Park, and really tapping more into the youth. Obviously to pick Lauren James, which I think is a fair call. She's actually been in a season where Chelsea are relying on individual brilliance to get the goal. She has been one of those brilliant players. I'm really excited to see what she does.
I think Lauren James can learn a lot off Serena. I really do.
I think,
and we've all agreed, she's really raw. And
I could see her having an effect on Lauren James like she did on Beth Mead. I think we saw Beth Mead was, which is great, but scary for Chelsea because she comes from.
Well, it's scary domestically. It's great internationally, but domestically for us, no. That is scary. Also, that is scary.
What Matt was saying about Zellum is absolutely right. I mean, she's also quite unique, being a Man United captain, despite proudly playing for Liverpool for about 4 years. So interesting to see how that cross team rivalry works. I can't imagine Roy Keane would have allowed that sort of shenanigans, or back in the day, player.
Yeah, no, but we're women's football. We're a bit classic now. We had the rivalries. We've now got the Merseyside derby. We've got the North London derby. You've got London. I don't know if you can call it a derby with Chelsea, but
what I was going to get to is her great strength is set pieces. I mean, we saw that when
100%.
But the problem is one of these places when you have that is her strength. So the rest of the team has to compensate around her. So you have to be prepared to think, right, okay. And you look at the midfield. Is she going to take the place of Kira Walsh? No. Is she going to take the place of
Absolutely no chance.
No.
Do you know what? You've just reminded me, Adam. There's Kira Walsh and Katie Zalem debate on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't get my head around this. No. I remember I spoke to G about this, and G, I still can't get my head around this. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Katie Zalem's never played any European minutes, and I don't mean international. I mean like domestic European minutes.
Katie Zalem has. She played for Juventus between Liverpool and Man United. I just found out 5 seconds ago when I googled it, and I thought, oh, she played for Juventus. I never knew that.
Okay, there we go. I was corrected again. I always manage to make myself look like an idiot on this podcast, and I've done it for today. Let's tick that box.
But she only scored 4 goals there and played 18 times, and that was in one season. So she didn't exactly.
How long ago was that though?
That was back in 2018. So
it's been about 5 years since she's been in Europe. I don't think she'll cope with the tackle like Walter got off Belova back in qualifiers, but I just don't think, as much as I want people, I like the English teams to do well in Europe, I don't think Man United will do very well next season, unfortunately, especially with the volume of games.
They're very well because they're not going to be in Europe, are they? Wink.
Whoa.
Just getting my top 4 prediction in nice and early.
Big call. So lucky I didn't get you to do what the WSL were doing. Make your starting 11 without choosing people from your own team. Now that is hard. I've tried doing that. You're not allowed any Arsenal players. That is hard.
That's fine. I'll just pick a starting 11 from Brighton, and then we're all right.
You're only allowed 4 from each team, maximum.
Okay, 4 from Brighton, 4 from Reading, and a few from Villa. Sorted.
To be fair, mine would have been a Villa core completely, straight down the middle.
Yeah.
And we should also say shout out to Jordan Nobbs getting back into the international setup. Really good to see, and really well deserved. And maybe now she can show Serena why she should be playing for England in the midfield role, and ahead of Zellum. So fingers crossed we get to see her maybe score a goal against Brazil. That'd be rather nice.
Yeah, no. Let's see if she can get past Rafa. Let's see that, because I know Rafa's El Capitano over there, so
Yeah,
that's
better
going to
than
be
Millie Bright.
interesting. Yeah, she is better than Millie Bright, to be fair. Although this is England, so I can't really say it. It's not domestic football anymore we're talking. But yeah, no, that is an awesome song. But anyway, massive. On the last of the news, Leah Williamson has topped the BBC's Hour Power list.
Hey.
The list of outstanding women in sport across 5 categories: sportswomen, leaders, change makers, amplifiers, and grassroots. Lotta also came in 7th.
Quite rightly
So
so.
that's two of the Arsenal players. I mean, they've done so much for us recently. So massive congratulations to them. But let's get to the stuff that we really, really, really want. And I am going to apologise to the Spurs fans, but you got destroyed over the weekend. Three points off the top of game in hand. Stina Blackstenius, Caitlin Ford scoring in the first half, then Beth England pulled one back for a penalty. Could Katie McCabe avoid that penalty, Jay?
Yeah.
Sorted. That's it. That's all the analysis we need.
Yeah. I know loads of people love her like character, but sometimes you're just like, just play the game. Like, don't give that. You never know, and especially games like that. I know, obviously, without being disrespectful, the levels are now this season. Last season they were quite competitive, but this season they have slipped away fairly quickly, haven't they? But yeah, I mean, then it brings it back to 2-1 just before half time, doesn't it? They're at home. Luckily, it didn't end up being a problem, but in the likes of a game against Chelsea, that's gonna real rock the boat. So yeah, I'm not always so keen of her doing her antics like she does, but hey, then she won one back, didn't she? So
yeah, she did.
I suppose she leveled the playing field.
I know, definitely. But the thing is, I do think that Neville kind of went in for that deliberately. I feel like she could have hopped over if she really wanted to, but Spurs being Spursy, you know, it was going to happen.
What was it Neville did?
Neville could have jumped over her.
Oh,
I do feel as Katie went in, she could have hopped over because the ball had gone.
Yeah, it was for a handball, the penalty. It wasn't a foul. It was the.
You're thinking
I'm thinking of the other one.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry,
thinking
yeah.
the other one. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it was handball. It was it was handball all day long.
It's
Sorry,
been a
guys.
long day.
It has been a very long day, but
It has.
Kim Little, Frida Leonardson Marnham made sure London is still red.
Absolutely. And,
I mean, I know Adam was at the game and I heard them through the full 90 minutes. I was sitting there on Ryan's watch along with Liam. I was singing along. They're all talking amongst themselves and I'm sitting there going, bobbing my head along, singing the songs because I can hear you lot from underneath the cameras. Yeah, it was brilliant. I did like your picture with Katie McCabe though, Adam. Very, 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 very unique.
Which picture was this, sorry?
The supporters group one that I sent you, and this picture of Katie McCabe.
Oh,
you're
right.
in the background with your scarf hanging up.
Yeah.
And then also Lily and her mum were sitting behind you as well. That was quite funny.
And if you had the misfortune of watching the all access area, you would have seen us. I just and
it's not unfortunate.
You're basically famous now.
Brilliant.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You're
getting
everywhere.
worse.
Yeah. Well, you're going on the stadium, so you've had it.
Yeah, I know.
You're on the mural, aren't you?
The ego is getting to me massively. I mean, I'm going to transcend this podcast. You know, I'm just going to. It's going out of control. Honestly, it was a really, really good day out. I've never been to Leighton Orient's ground. It was unfortunately a ground so bad that the men's team game got called off the next day. Meanwhile, the men's stadium was hosting a rugby match. So you can sort of see where the Spurs' priorities when it comes to the women's.
Oh yeah, because they're gonna fill up. They'd rather fill the stadium up. They got debt to pay. So
well, they know the fact.
They've got go-karts underneath the ground. Like,
yeah, NFL, rugby, anything but the women's team because they know they don't have enough fans to fill the stadium.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, that's another thing. I saw a screenshot of the Manu Rabucci song from Tottenham, and
it's not like
cringe.
Yeah,
it made me cringe.
Don't worry. She'll be out there soon.
I hope so because it's to ABBA money. One line is that you're a Spurs player now, and I'm like,
no, you're not. No, she'll never.
No, she's on loan. It really did make me cringe when I went because Lily sent me a screenshot of her program trying to look at this, and I went, oh my god, what have they done? So I don't think have we got a song from Anna? We have
we did.
a
It was
I like the way you move.
Yes,
Feel
that's
a
it.
Bucci.
which is now Jodie Taylor's song.
Is it really?
Oh.
Yeah, they've done. I think the lyrics slightly changed, but I'm pretty sure it's the same tune to Saturday Night. So
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah,
that's a new one for me to pick up next time I'm in
Jodie Taylor.
yeah, we weren't. It wasn't what was sung at the day, but I've seen it in the Twitter sphere of a chant that's been suggested, and I thought that did sound familiar. The chants on the day were absolutely superb. We're pretty confident we outnumbered the away fans at the ground. And the only time that we outnumbered the home, we away fans outnumbered the home fans at the ground. The only time we heard them was about a few minutes before Beth England won the penalty. That was the only time we heard any sort of Spursing chant. But for 90 minutes, we just gave it everything. We gave it North London Forever at the start. We sort of agreed to get that going because obviously they don't play at the stadium.
Yeah.
And we just basically sung as much as possible, rubbing it into Spurs, rubbing in. There were some very interesting new chants we hadn't heard of, which were very funny. So if you caught that on the TV, well done. Please bring them to Meadow Park for next time. Stina's goal, loved it. Caught us all a bit off guard, caught the keeper off guard as well.
I think it was more of a blind spot for Corpella, if I'll be honest with you.
She just got caught in no man's land. Our positioning was awful. And Stina, fair play to her, you know. Well, I know you love Stina. But I was thinking, she would have.
It was poor defending more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
there's no way she should have won that ball over whoever it was.
Bartrip,
the thing is, the ball was originally for Pelova. That's the mad thing about it.
He left it, and then Bartrip missed on the run. Stina gets in. A Stina of a month or 2 months ago doesn't take that shot. She'll take an extra touch. She'll check. She'll
hesitate, and the ball will be gone.
Brilliant. Ford, I love Ford's second goal because you could see her running at the defence, and the defence just seemed to back off. And I shouted, "Shoot!" very loudly, and then she probably knocked into the bottom corner. And it's like that.
Oh, so that's who said shoot? It was you.
Yeah,
I heard you, and I said someone just screamed shoot. I'm sure that's Adam.
Right. Okay.
It was you.
I didn't know that's the case. I've got to rewind the thing back, but I was sitting next to I think it's I do. Sorry if I forget your name, but Lewis, the chap who runs Red and White. So I sat next to him for the entire game, thankfully. So and I did turn around and tell him, I did that. I told her to do that. The penalty was a bit of a kicker right on half time, and you do think we've been on top, we've been brilliant. Spurs have had absolutely nothing. They've got a penalty out of nowhere, and it's just going to be something, because the problem is with too many of these games, I have my Arsenal men's hat on, and I think I transpose my feelings of how I would see the Arsenal men in this game. And the truth is the two don't compare. I mean, we think the Spurs men's team are bad. I mean, by George. Unfortunately, the women's team...
We know, although I feel that I did say that they've evolved because of the players they've recruited, they're not anywhere near to what I expected of them, I'll be honest with you, because it's the only team I don't really watch. If I can avoid watching Spurs, I will.
There's nothing there. There's nothing to enjoy. There's nothing to enjoy.
Exactly. I mean, I struggled through Man United and West Ham earlier over the weekend, and I was like, I can't watch this. I switched off the last half hour. I couldn't do it.
Half time, I left the bar and got the train home, so I was rather annoyed when I discovered I missed all the goals in the second half of the train home. I was like, oh, great, I missed the game. Second half, I just wanted us to kick on and just get as many goals as possible. The team were behind them.
Yeah. I wish it was 6-1. That would have done amazing for our goal difference. We needed 2 more.
Yeah.
And it's just like, damn it.
There were a lot of chances left on the door, but there was the moment, obviously the whole game flipped was, I think, Stina darting the channel, crossover, misses Ford's header. And it was one of these sort of moments where you could sort of see what was going to happen before it happened. Because we were right in front, it was right in our corner. We were on the corner where the penalty ended up happening. You see Katie McCabe run in onto the loose ball as it's falling. And I just thought there's going to be a penalty here. I could see the defender. I could see Katie running in. The two are there's going to be a penalty. And lo and behold, I think it's Turner's legs, clips her, goes to ground. And it was just like, yeah, that's a penalty. You could see it happening because from well before it happened. And thankfully the ref gave it. Kim Little, usual.
Yeah, that was the only time I heard the Spurs fans all screaming boo. That was the only time I heard them. I didn't think there was any there. I thought we'd literally booked Airbnb and took over. Do you know what I mean?
The beatboxers made more noise than the Spurs fans, which sort of says a lot. And then, once that was in, it was just a free-for-all. Shout out for Pelova, 2 assists for Ford. another, especially for the second goal, the tenacity on the wing to get down the wing, get it back, get the cross in. Nice finish by Ford. Love scoring against Spurs, as we know.
That's 7 and 6 now.
Yeah, another one for the collection.
And they're all Spurs fixtures.
One behind Viv.
Yep. And then Liardson Mornham from a high press turnover on the halfway line to run through and just go for it.
Do you know what? That goal was a long time coming. That I got clipped by him for that, and that goal was absolutely sublime. That was my favourite goal out of the whole thing. Like it's been a long last few games. It's been a long time coming from her. She's been absolutely on fire this season, and it's just
it's been incredible.
Too long.
Unfortunately,
way too long.
To take the shine off, it was slightly deflected, but it was a brilliant loop over the keeper.
Every piece of commentary I've watched is deflected, and I'm like, no, it's been afforded to Mon and behave yourself. I know it was deflected, but I'm going to give it to Frida.
That's
I'm
what
sorry.
gives it
it's
the height.
Too nice
that's what gives it the loop over top, and it's beautiful. She did it against Man United, and she did it again against Spurs. Gio could have had a 6, very unlucky, hit the bar. And
then she went down, and that my heart sank.
Yeah,
it really did sank. I've seen her hanging out with Taya Goldie this week on Instagram, and they're grooving to a bit of old school Chris Brown. Makes me feel really old because obviously they're a lot younger than I am.
Apparently it was dead leg. Apparently it was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad then.
Serious.
But the way her reaction, it scared me. I thought it was something more because the way she went in with her hip. Yeah, I can't remember who I think she ran into Amy Turner, I think.
Amy or me, I get the two confused. One plays for Man United now, one plays for Spurs.
Amy plays for Tottenham because I remember I get really irritated with her, especially after what she did to Katie as well. That irritated me. Like, how silly can you get by giving that away, G?
Yeah. But just dead leg. We had to play the rest of the few minutes with 10 men. Thankfully, that's all there was to it. And it was sort of party time at full time. A lot of laughs had. A lot of Tottenham get battered chants going around, which I'm sure you heard on the TV, which were nice. Amongst we were, calling for their relegation. Although, quite frankly, if they did get relegated, I couldn't give two hoots. It's just. I feel nothing. I feel no pain.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. With the women's football, I feel like the rivalry with Chelsea is worse than it is Tottenham and Arsenal.
Yeah.
Am I right, G?
100%. It's because it's more like of a challenge, isn't it? Everything just sounds so disrespectful. Never mind the manager.
Let's just focus on the pitch.
Yeah, like you're not gonna be best pals with the team that you're competing with the most, are you? It's definitely Chelsea, and it's Emma Hayes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just to go on the history though alone, the history is around Chelsea were 2012, something like that, when they went into the WSL, and so they've been a lot longer than Tottenham and Man United anyway.
They came up 2018, didn't they?
Man United and Tottenham didn't have a team, and then they both went into the Championship. Tottenham got promoted at the first time of asking, Man United the second time of asking.
Yeah. That's not too bad, to be honest with you.
The only thing I regret with if they got relegated. Oh, was there an echo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone's got an echo. It's not me.
I'll remute myself. There's only one thing I'd regret if Spurs got relegated, and that's would miss out on those big 60,000 attendance at Emirates Stadium for North London derbies, because those occasions were magical. And it's also nice to have a guaranteed 6 points when you look at the fixtures.
We've had 12 points off them season.
I know.
Rub my hands together. I love it.
So smug.
Yeah. The only person who's got a smugger face than me right now is probably Liam.
Well, he's smug by nature, isn't he?
Oh yes, it is. I'm going to ask Matt the next question. What were your thoughts on Jodie Taylor getting minutes over the weekend?
Adam's laughing because I've been the only one defending her.
No, I'm all for her.
Oh dear. What have you two been up to? I haven't been on social media for a couple of days. Are you two pairing? Are you causing trouble? What's going on?
For Jodie Taylor. No. I'm not a naysayer. And in fact, she's so good that when we were doing what's the score to the substitutes they ran past, Jodie Taylor was the only one to turn to us and actually show us the score on her fingers. So she gave us a 4-1 and a 5-1. So we were.
Oh, brilliant!
At 5-1, she just shrugged her shoulders and just with that, and we were like, yeah. So she's already won the fan base over. So fair play.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it was over her age, and I went last time I was on. I was talking about Marta, who I got wrong. She's not 42; she's 37. So apologies for that.
But she's an incredible. I know she's getting on, but she's still a good player. I've seen what I've seen of her. She's still a good player, regardless of her age.
Look at Modric. Some players get better with age.
The two things she did do during that game, the first one was the assist, and unfortunately it was offside. But then there's the next thing she does. She turns around and she has a volley, and unfortunately it doesn't go in. But that was the type of thing that we can use, and that's going to help us. And she still has it in her locker, as Adam said. And I think people are so, I don't want to say biased because of the things that have been said in the past because of the England racial row and things like that. I don't want to go into it too much. But ideally, in an ideal world, you want to separate the player on the pitch from the player that's off the pitch. And I think the best thing to really do is you think about players that have probably had those sort of political, like Lottie, for example.
Yeah.
On the pitch, she's a fantastic player. Off the pitch, she's a fantastic role model for girls and women and those that want to do the best for their community. But you can separate the player from some people just can't do that for whatever reason. And if Jodie Taylor goes and scores the winner against Aston Villa in the last minute to win us the WSL, fingers crossed, touch wood, spin around 3 times, whatever you want to do.
If there's a God, please be listening.
Manifest.
Say even if she scores against Chelsea and that's the win, that puts us up the top of the league. That's gonna make her be seen in a better light. And it's also a chance for Stina to be getting these rests that she desperately needs.
Definitely.
I mean,
she needs it.
Play in the 90 minutes because there's no other striker. And
we can't rely on her like City say rely on Lauren Hemp. They've got Bunny Shaw, they've got Chloe Kelly, but Lauren Hemp still looks knackered. To be fair, so I completely get where you're coming from. G, how important was Palova to this game?
Yeah, very. It's nice for her to get a bit of a chance as well, isn't it? And there was a couple of different players in the starting 11 of what you would usually expect for a league game, which is it's just so nice to see that they do get a chance. And it's not always easy to come on as a sub for 10-15 minutes and try and impact the game. So she's very good. Like, she's one of those that the ball is just stuck to her feet for me, and it's so good. They're the favourite types of players for me. They can just do everything. She was fighting hard for everything, winning balls back, getting stuck in. Kind of looked like she was ready for the occasion, with it being a derby, of course, as well. These girls are learning these things now.
It was her first
and she's just ready to go. That's what you need. Like, she's settled in quite well, quite quickly, and she's a really exciting player.
Should have scored it in the first half. Really good chance.
That will come though. I'm still expecting to score this season. I'll just stop him.
Right, someone's got an echo. I'm really sorry. I can hear myself.
Oh dear.
There we go. Thank you. Right. Anyway, get straight back into it. I'm gonna briefly touch on the rest of the games. The score was inevitable for us. Let's be serious. There was no hesitation on what was going to be. Although it wasn't 3-1 though, was it, Adam?
Annoyingly, no. I was very smug. Liam smug, you could almost say. When Kim Little top bin that penalty, I turned to Lewis and I said, I saw this coming. I had a vision, and I saw, and I've said that Beth England shall score, but Arsenal shall triumph 3-1. And thankfully, I didn't pop down to Paddy Power to put some money on it because then Caitlin Ford and Frida Mornham, Leodson Mornham ruined it for me. But I was, I was half right. Beth England did score.
Technically, they didn't ruin it. We just got a better scoreline on the goal difference. So don't be too rueful.
Beth England was the only player in that team who had any chance to score. It was their only shot on target, that penalty. There was their only shot on target. I don't think they really had anything else. The only thing we were guilty of was not scoring more, despite our cries from the crowd. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not great with predictions, as I'm sure as we'll pick through the rest of the results. I'm pretty sure I got wrong.
Just on that pitch, though, it looks so terrible. Like,
Oh, it was awful.
The
and
pitch.
I'm going to be honest. Yeah, the Orient pitch. When
Yeah,
I was
it was.
looking at, I don't blame Sabrina for not even diving, because that pitch was so bad. It was almost Sunday League quality. It was so awful.
Yeah. It's why we've done aerial quite a lot, because the ball bobbled. It's like the Hive, and we saw what happened last season at the Hive. You know, we didn't win the league. So thankfully we're a bit better tuned to that, and you know, Spurs can try playing on a worse pitch than their stadium. The result will be no worse. It, you know, just be a 5-1 and move on. So yeah, they've missed opportunity they missed opportunity to expand their fan base, and they missed the opportunity to, you know, play in a nice stadium or nicer stadium. They just completely Spursed it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, moving on to the City game,
Yes.
it was over in 30 minutes. That game, it was done. You had it got her first WSL goal from Philippa Angadal.
What a goal!
Angadal. It was actually it was a beautiful right foot shot in the box from into the top left corner from Hemp. Berger did not move. She didn't move. It was unbelievable. I was like, is she in shock? Or
She was on the grill.
yeah, that's a good one. Come, Adam, we just beat you to a pun. What is going on?
I'm losing
and
it.
then-
Predictions and now my punnings.
Yeah, and then at the half hour mark, we had Lauren Hemp left foot shot from the box into the top right hand corner. It was beautiful, because I be honest with you, I missed Angledale's goal. I turned on and Lauren Hemp scored, and I was like, G would like this goal. So
yes. How was it, Jim?
I didn't see it, unfortunately.
Oh no. Gee, have City blown the title race open after only losing their first two games of the season?
Yes, that's what you want. That's I looked at it. I was away the weekend, so I really haven't seen a lot. To be fair, I'm slacking. But yeah, that's exactly what you want. You don't want to go into these games and think Chelsea are just going to win that, which we have done for a little while. So it was nice for them to bring them back down to reality a little bit, give it a good game. And yeah, City are sort of stepping up and getting back to their former selves, aren't they? And we will do anything to get back into it. And now there's 4 teams in a title race, technically. And that's exactly what you want. It's a great advert for the league going into the last couple of games, the most important part of the season. That's what you want. You don't want someone outright, which we thought was going to happen even a month ago. It was looking like that was what was just going to happen, and we were fighting for the rest of the spots. And now it's wide open, so it's going to be really good to see how it all pans out. Fingers crossed our way.
Oh, hopefully. So the Golden Boot race is on. Adam, who's going to get it? Bunny Shaw or Rachel Daly, or even Bethany England? I mean, Bunny Shaw thought she had this all wrapped up, but I don't think she has, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, she had 15 goals to her name.
Maybe an outside chance shout for Stina, maybe? No. I think never know.
As it stands, I do apologise. That is the top 3 as it stands.
Yeah. I do think it will probably be Shaw, because the way that Man City are set up, they are set up basically to feed the Shaw, and she will surely score. That is just it's all on the front 3. It's all on Hemp, Kelly, Shaw, get the goals, and you know, it's what's got them this point of the season. You know, they've gone to basically what we used to do with Vivian Miedemar, which is just feed the goat. And I can understand that if it works. It certainly worked against Brighton, when I think it was Shaw got the late winner in that one as well. Didn't get on the score sheet this time, obviously. But no, I think it will be Shaw. I just think maybe Daly plays in a team that is just not going to create the amount of chances that a team like Manchester City would.
Did you watch the Villa game?
Well, that was Leicester. You don't play Leicester every week, you know.
Yeah, I know, but I've been watching them through most of the season, and to tell me they're not creating is a bit concerning, because they beat City at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that was a stonking game. I just think Shaw will get more goals, just the way that they're sort of set up. But I mean, I'll happily admit I've barely watched Villa because of my focus has been on Arsenal. So
I'm a Rachel Daly, Jordan Nobbs, Kenza Darley. I'm there. Done.
Darley, what another player. just brilliant for Villa. I say Villa are building up a real side. They are fifth. They're just below us. Although I think we played a few games less, so we got that to help.
Yeah, I think they've got 2 in hand. I'd have to go double check.
Somebody did try to suggest online that maybe Villa might be an outside chance for top three rather. I think
that's a good interesting shout.
It isn't. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but stranger things have happened. If they get a strong one together, they've got to play. I think pretty much everybody. They've got to play Arsenal last day of the season, and they've got the likes of Nobbs. They've got the likes of Darley, as you say, and Delhi. They have got firepower. Is it Hansen they've got? Is it?
I think it's Hansen. That's it. Yeah, Matt's nodding on the screen. Yep.
Yeah, Hansen's it. Yeah, I know my stuff. So they are definitely ones to watch.
Yeah, I think their toughest fixture they've got left is Man United. I'll be honest with you. I'm just quickly scrolling through this. They've got Man United
definitely Arsenal away.
At home. Yeah. No, apart from us. Wasn't counting us, but I'm just looking in general. Man United the hardest, but they're at home, so.
If you do look at it, at the fixtures, Man United at Brighton this weekend. We've got Man City. Villa have got Chelsea.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that this weekend will be one of the biggest tellers of what's going to happen league-wise. Forget about Man United, because against Brighton, it's just going to be...
Every weekend, it's going to be terrible. The second last weekend has got the Manchester derby and Arsenal playing Chelsea on the same day. Every weekend, Arsenal will be top, then they'll be fourth, then Chelsea will be top, and then it'll be third.
It's going to be a massive card shuffle, basically.
You cannot just... It's just going to be insane. Unless a team has a real collapse and just drops away, it's going to be fascinating. I think we'll be in a position where the top 4 teams will all have the same amount of points at the end of the season.
Yeah, do you know what? I really do think this title race is going to go down to the line.
Level, it'll be 1 point. It'll be so close. And the team with 4th will be scratching. How on earth did we not get him a top 3? How on earth are we the ones to miss out? And basically, I would, because I'm a pessimist. Surprised it was us. How the luck goes. But no, it's going to be fascinating. I should take this time to speak to the nation and apologise for my actions on Sunday.
Right. So, would you like to explain to us what you've actually done? Because I'm completely amiss here.
Yeah, I temporarily decided to support Chelsea and Emma Hayes. It was wrong.
How dare you?
It was wrong of me,
and dare you?
I know I deserve to walk through the street with shame shouted at me and human excrement thrown at me. It was criminal.
That's a bit much.
It was a poor take to have, and I was thinking only of us maybe getting top 3. I didn't see us title contenders, and as an Arsenal fan, it's not acceptable to not see us anything but title contenders. It was shameful, and I was rightly picked up on it. So yeah, fair enough. I've learnt my lesson, and I promise that for this season I will not support Chelsea at all.
Before I forget as well, the other 3 are in the
next season
FA Cup FA Cup semi-finals. So if you think about it, they're probably going to be focused on those 2, whereas we've only got to focus on Champions League. Bar Chelsea as well have to think about Champions League as well. So Chelsea are probably in the midst of probably what would they rather have, the league, the Champions League, or the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Whereas United probably want to go for the FA Cup if they can get those over yourself. That's probably a cherry on top of their tree. City, they'll probably be wanting the league just so then they can one up Man United. So
that sounds about right. I mean,
yeah.
Just touching on that, Emma Hayes, she's at it again, complaining about 3 away games in 7 days. As an elite team, should you be complaining, G? Really?
No, because she wouldn't be complaining if she won all those trophies. That's how I always see it. You think, well, if you win, and you go on to win the trophy, then you're not going to be going, well, it was a bit of a ball ache having to travel all the time and play here, there, and everywhere. That's gone out the window. It's always an excuse when something goes wrong, and you just think, well, that's what you're there for. Surely you want to be the most competitive you possibly can be. But you know what she's like. She's always going to do it, and she always has a nice little moan or a dig at everyone else, doesn't she? Never takes the fault for anything herself.
It was a change of tack from the Conti Cup final, when last Conti Cup final it was the players were the problem. They let me down. To this time, so I love my players.
I'm not going to criticise them. That was her words, and it was
the two interviews pre and post match. And pre match is like, so Emma, what do you think of the games? Oh, I love this game after game. This is what we want. This is our level. We want games every day, every hour. We want full time. It's just too many games. I think it's just one too many game for us. And you just think, I'm sorry, you can't. Do you not realise what you can't have the two? I mean, it's just
you can't have one without the other. If you want to be an elite team, you've got to time manage and rotate your players to that. And I know a massive miss for them was Millie Bright.
Well, yes,
I mean, it's the first time in 11 games they've actually beat Chelsea, and I believe that's over 5 years. So it's twice. Yeah, about 5 years.
Yeah.
11 games, and for that is just absolutely massive for City.
But you buy squad players to cover for your best players, and they got in, the Buchanan, and they got the likes of Ericsson, and clearly they went up to it. And I think you hit the nail on the head to say if you're an elite team, you ride out these things. Well, based on this evidence, Chelsea clearly aren't an elite team. So Bruce right there. If you can't
hack it, don't compete.
What's the point of winning in Lyon if you can't win in Manchester City? There's
literally. No, but it was only 1-0. It wasn't a 5-1, so I can't. But a win's a win.
Oh, 1-0 in Lyon, in Lyon,
yes.
1-0.
Yes.
It was a very good goal, though, we should say. Good goal from Rice.
Yes, we did agree on that in the last one, didn't we? Although you did call me a traitor, and I said I appreciate the goal. I didn't say I like the team.
Yeah, and I was a traitor as well. So I'm not only a traitor, I'm a hypocrite, just like Emma Hayes.
Ooh, that's big words. That's very big words. I'm gonna quickly move on to the other games because there are another 4 games to talk about. Obviously you got United and West Ham. You had the Zayden penalty, Lucia Garcia in the 65th minute and the 91st minute, and then Lad in 84.
What a lad.
Top of the table on goal difference.
Yeah.
And United. I did query one penalty in that game, and it was the Sissoko one. She got away with the first one, didn't she, Matt? She got away with that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just going to say this now.
Sorry, Matt.
During this game, the first half, I just fell asleep straight after it. And
do you know what? They did well the first half, West Ham, and then they just fell apart.
They do that a lot.
I know. They just need to pretend they're playing Arsenal every week, and then they'll be fine.
We were watching it in the pub garden, and we were all Irons fans, and there was a lot of in the pub. We went to the pub after the Spurs game, and there was a lot of "Come on, you Irons," and supporting West Ham, and I'm forever blowing bubbles, and we were giving West Ham all the support we could, and they let us down in the second half. And Sissoko has that in her. She's got that.
Yeah. The thing is, she knew she did it. You could see the look on her face. Yeah. Although the first one, I think not much contact was made, but she got away with it. She got away with that nicely. You can see the second time she knew. She just knew. You could see it on her face completely. West Ham yet again. They're mid-table team. They're safe in theory.
That's what they are. They're a mid-table team that might get to a cup final if they get a luck of a draw.
But do you think? I'm going to actually ask this one to Matt. Matt, do you think they need to recruit like Villa have to actually be in to compete with the top teams?
I think they need to have a plan, if you mean by that. Instead of just going, right, we need to have like an experience of a Rachel Daly. We need to
recruit a Linus.
It wasn't that case. It's a case of. I even look at leaving that up at Arsenal. Jonas had a plan. He was going to bring in these players. He brought in Rafaela, he brought in Laura, and then he brought in Kaylin and all the ones that we love and enjoy watching playing now. We're slowly seeing, but eventually he's building on it more and more. Carla Ward's going to do exactly the same with what she'll probably go with younger recruits in the summer, and then obviously depends on what's going to happen with the goalkeeping situation with Hannah Hampton as well. But West Ham just seem to be we'll just pick off other people's discarded players almost, and it doesn't really work. I mean, you look at someone like Hayley Hussein was at West Ham. She's not even getting a game anymore. Alex Hennessy was at West Ham as well. She ended up being released because she wasn't getting played. So it just seems to be mix and match. They don't have a plan, and because they don't have a plan, they're relying on someone like a Sissoko who's got a mistake in it. Let it be known as well that she got sent off because she had a literal handbag fight with Kenza Dali in one of the opening games of the season.
Oh yes,
I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was weird.
I remember that. The
Was
thing
it
is, I
Kenza
don't expect that from Kenza
It
Dali.
was
though.
Maz Pacquiao. I think
She
it
was
was
sent
what.
off. There was a shenanigan that happened. I'm pretty sure, and she was
Yeah.
involved with it, and it went crazy.
They both could have been sent off, but it was Sissoko that was sent off, and I think it was the Villa player in the end that got the yellow card. Which
Oh, no. Well, I hate to say it, but the reputation with the surname Sissoko, it's not great. I know that sounds really bad, but I remember a male player that had a bit of a temper on him. I don't know if you guys do, but
Well, Ali Sissoko, who used to play for Liverpool.
I think wasn't he someone? Wasn't there one at Spurs at some point?
There was Mohamed Sissoko. There's one who played for Newcastle.
There was one that had a bad temper. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, like first name off the top of my head, I'm afraid, guys. But moving swiftly on, Aston Villa completely tanked Leicester. Kenza Dali score first. She had a brilliant game, even though she's just started fasting. Leisha Lehman scored 2, 35th and 71st minute, and then Daly backed herself just on the whistle and 10 minutes into the second half. Leicester really lacked the fight during that game for me. Although stats say something else, but stats always paint a pretty picture.
They're taking them down.
Yeah, no. I think they're 2 points from safety. They've just let in another 5, and you don't want to be doing that when you're in a relegation battle, do you, G?
No, absolutely not. But it's difficult, isn't it? Because you can really see the difference in class across the leagues, and of course that's going to get better soon. But it must be so challenging for players within those bracket teams, because it's going to be difficult. And then seeing someone like a team like Villa excelling how they are this season, and also joining the fight to the top of the league as well. It's sort of just, there's a big barrier in the middle, isn't there, where you just think those players must have it so tough. They don't have obviously the good facilities, etc., and everything that the tops do, but they've still got to go out there and perform their best. But when you get results like that week in, week out, and you look at the table and you think, how are we going to get through this? And obviously no one wants to be relegated, but sometimes it does the club's wonders as well. One season just to drop out, be at your level and get back into it. And I think that's probably what Leicester need to happen for them, don't they? They need to take a breather, regroup, and come back, because they could be such a good team. You know, they've got good backing, haven't they? Is it Emil Heskey that's still part of their management team? Yeah, I mean that's a great head to have in there. You know, so I think they've got the people to help them, and it would be nice to see them sort of be backed more like the men's team, to make them more of a challenge as well.
Just curious on this now. Sorry. How would you improve the league at the moment? Because you look at the top 4, for example, there's so many points between them, and then you've got the bottom who've only got 7 points and 9 points. So what would you like to see in the future, say, 3 years' time?
It's hard, isn't it? Because you can't just be like, just chuck loads of money in, because that's not the way forward. But it's probably just the care across the whole league. And you know, as a player, of course, you're going to want to play for the better teams. But I think it stems down from everything, like Tottenham not getting their game at the stadium when it was completely free, and some rugby game gets there when there are rugby facilities to have those games. You know, it's the care of being picked over other events, and not their time isn't being put into where it should be. And all it needs, you could tell by, you know, likes of us, a club that actually cares about the whole family, not just the first team or the youth, it's everyone. And that's when it starts to excel. You know, you get the better coaches and the people that want to be there, not just there because it's a stepping stone. Those types of things. But I think it's going to take a little while to really see what the Euros did for us and potentially the summer. It's not going to happen. I think we've all said before, it's not going to happen that quickly, a couple of months in it, or the first season after that. It's going to take years for all these new girls coming in, these academies that are building up now. So I just think it just, as long as it keeps being shown, there's access to watching the games, getting to the games, and obviously there is going to be more times in school where they can start it younger. That's the only way. You don't necessarily want someone to just come in with loads of money and just say, here you go, you have that, crack on. You want it to really just collectively build, because like I said, for everyone, it's not great knowing that one or two clubs are going to win the league and the rest are just going to squabble it out, is it? So that's all I can really think of, really. There's nothing you could say that someone's going to come in and change everything right now. It's just got to be a whole collective from the bottom all the way to the top, and just having the right heads leading it, like Lottie. Is going to be interested these next couple of years following the World Cup. And once all these, as I say, these girls are getting older, into secondary schools, coming out, going into academies, that's when we'll see a more competitive league, I think.
It's also, I was just going to add that with the league. I think that the league itself does need looking at, because at the moment there's only, you get top three and a relegation zone. And for me, there needs to be more to fight for than just that. For me, there needs to be more teams in the league, obviously more games, maybe. And I think for me, there needs to be more relegation, because you can't just have it that you win 3 games and you're staying up. The only reason Spurs sat their manager is because they've lost 9 in a row. If Skinner had won maybe 2 of those games, it should have been a job, because Spurs would know they're safe and their money chest is in the WSL for another season where they can advertise and sell shirts, etc., etc. There needs to be more peril to drop down, but there needs to be more incentives to stay up. I mean, I've heard talks, people say, would it be great if there could be a women's Europa League? And for me, that is exactly what we need, a secondary European competition to play behind the Champions League, so that if, Man United come fourth, or Aston come fifth, or we come fourth, or however it works out, there is another way for us to play on the continent, not the Champions League. But it will also give teams like West Ham something to fight for. Think, I can get into Europe next year. Forget the likes of us there.
Do you know what? I completely agree with that. But I think we need to focus on WSL first. I mean, Willie Clark gave a really interesting interview. He thinks we need more teams in WSL. 11 games at home a season, 11 games away. It's 22 games, so we need more games. But I do think there should be an increase of games, like maybe as many as the men.
The league starts way too late. It starts like in September. But
I can understand the last 2 years why it started so late.
Oh yeah, because of all the nonsense.
Because of the Euros, but when there's no tournaments, it should be starting out, and we should have more games if we had more teams. I mean, the crowds because of the Euros, the crowds have massively increased. I mean, Meadow Park's a sellout every game.
At some point,
we don't give our tickets away for free.
We don't. We sell tickets. We don't give them away.
Exactly, we sell. I mean, I can't even get myself and Georgina 2 tickets to Aston Villa end of season because they're sold out already. Man City has been sold out for months as well at home, and that's our next fixture on Sunday. I mean, I had to pick up my Leicester tickets really early as well. But yeah, no, it's just we need to expand the WSL, but that in tow means do we need to expand the Championship as well, so that XYZ on below the Championship have the opportunity to come up.
I think so. I think you need to have more promotion slots. I think you need to have more teams. I think it also needs more coverage. We're giving all this great coverage for the WSL, but the next step is, once that is sorted, is how do we sell the Championship? Because all you get from the Championship is maybe goal of the day at the end of the women's football show on the BBC, and you'll get a quick table to say, whoever's in first, I don't know, is Bristol City, say maybe they're first, or Durham, or whoever, Coventry, they're floating around. And you just get a quick table and that's it. There is not, as far as I know, and it's not publicised much, is the coverage of a Championship, and that will be the next trickle down. Is once the WSL is fully established and they get a decent number of teams in, it's expanding that properly. I mean, to get in the Championship, if there's correct me if I'm wrong, I swear there's some sort of playoff system to get one team to get into a Championship, which is
soon upgrading that to 2. Am I right, Matt?
Yes, from what I understand, Go on, Adam.
No, that's that, and I think you need to have a system where because at the moment one team gets promoted from the Championship to a WSL. For me, that needs to be doubled, and then for me in the WSL, you need to have one death relegation, and I would have a playoff system where a team that's in WSL, if it's on the brink of relegation, plays off against a Championship team for the right to play in the WSL. It just needs looking, because at the moment for me the league was of a decent size. It's too small. There's too many people watching games, and there's not enough. And we've only got 5, 6, 7 games left. It feels like we've only just started. It's already over. And with the more games, is more variance. The problem is like just like you can survive the league. If you win like 2 games, you survive because there aren't enough games for the other teams to catch up. So for me, it definitely needs more teams. And then when the leagues are bigger and the European continent's teams are bigger, then they can start to work on how to fix the Champions League, because I think there are needs. The qualification process for second and third place for us is a nonsense. It's just over-engineered beyond belief. And then you can work on, well, if you fall out, if you lose to Real Madrid in the qualification process, you can fall into a Europa League equivalent. There is so much. Alex Scott said, Gabby Logan, sorry, I was saying, Gabby or Alex, I forget who it was, said that the train is leaving the station and it's going off. We're not at the end of the journey yet. There is so much to change in not just in the WSL, in the Championship, across Europe. There is, and we want it all at once, because we are quite impatient because we've waited this long for this amazing boom to happen. I think it will happen, and it's just going to be a case of just having to be patient and wait for it when it comes, because when it does come, it's going to be great.
I think they're doing the right thing, though. They're doing it at the bottom. So I wrote a huge piece a long time ago now. I was talking about the lower leagues, and essentially in one league there was 13 teams. Now imagine if you're in one of those 13 teams. Say you're either at the top and you finished all your games, and the second team on the table, all they need to do is win 1-0 and they win the league. And they do that. It seems unfair, and it's a bit unbiased. I'm hoping that when they redo the FA National Leagues, is what its official title is, that will happen, and then they're building that up slowly. So effectively, what will happen is that after the National League, you then have the Championship, and then from that, the expansion will carry on into the WSL. One thing is that you look at the Conti Cup. I'm going to just quickly go on this as quickly as I can. You look at someone like a London City Lioness. They don't have any team backing them. It's just themselves. You look at a team like Lewis as well. Although they do have a men's team, the women's team is actually far superior to their men's team, because the men's team play lower down the pyramid, but they're basically known as Equality FC because they all get paid the same thing. Now, if some of these things need to be addressed, like the FA Cup money and things like that, which they will kind of go for, and it'll be nice to see that take place as well. But we'll slowly get there, as Adam was saying. But it's just
definitely. I mean, for a team like is it Lewis?
Yeah.
They to play Fulham, they might receive £700, but if it's I don't know, Man United, they might get £7,000 out of it. And the payment equality needs to be fair, because I know teams like Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, we will sell out because we're massive clubs. I know, like we've got absolutely massive clubs, and the fans will come. I mean, you've just got to look at our Champions League ticket sales, which we'll get onto later. So it's just a case of the fans. Will they come? I mean, you've only got to try it a couple of times to decide whether you like it or not. Football is football.
That is the big thing. It's changing the psychology of the fan. Because this is something I was discussing with friends at the game, is too many fans, and they're not, I must make this clear, they're not bad people. We're not saying they're misogynist, we're not saying they're sexist, anything like that. It's just the mentality of the fan is men's football. And women's football does not naturally occur to them think as part of their Arsenal world. It's just their Arsenal world is Bukayo Saka and Emil Smith Rowe and Mikel Arteta and Zinchenko. And the women's team it doesn't really exist in their world. That's not because they don't like women's football, disagree with it. It's just they've never comprehended it as an entity that deserves respect. Now, we shouldn't. You obviously can't make people watch football. You can't drag them to games against their will. I mean, as a kid, I hate, parents, whenever parents want you to do something, you just turn around and say, I don't want to do it, because you resist. So it's working out why fans don't have that naturally in their mentality to think, I want to go and watch Arsenal women because I'm an Arsenal fan, not as a woke nonsense thing, just simply it's football and it's Arsenal and I want to watch that as well. That's the mentality we've got to have to change. And for many fans, they won't be able to do it. They're too entrenched in their ways, and fair enough. But there'll be new fans coming along eventually, a newer generation who would have watched the Euros as a kid and will go, no, I want to watch Arsenal women as well as the Arsenal men. But that is the thing, is building those bridges between the men's team and the women's team. And thankfully there are fans from the men's team who are making that journey across. And it's just going to take time.
I know I was one at the start of not this season, last season.
Yeah,
I was one of them, and I can't get enough. I mean, I'm at as many home games as physically possible. I know that me and G started this journey together. So it's just got really interesting. I mean, G, how's your journey coming across from men's to women's football thing?
Yeah, it's good because it just, like Adam says, if you're a football fan, you just want to watch as much as possible. Like, I don't really want to watch lower leagues, but I will if it's on sometimes. It's just because you want to get the fix, and then when it's over, you think, oh god, what? Even this weekend, like, because I wasn't able to see the game at the time because I was driving home, so I didn't get to see any football, and I'm just itching for it to watch it again. But yeah, it's I don't know if it's different for me. I don't want to say that it is, but I've always played, so I've always been in around like the women's game, but you've never seen it like progress as such. It was always the main focus was always like the England team. I would just watch like the England games when they were available, which wasn't very often, but it just wasn't there, was it? So that this whole wave of fan now from the last couple of years and from the summer, that's the good thing about women's football. It's so open and will accept anyone to come and give it a go, come and watch. And so many people have come up to me like at home, knowing that my family like played football. Pretty much everyone did, or me. And they'll, even when I'm out, they're like, oh yeah, well, I actually watched this game and it's actually all right. And you're like, well, yeah, it's, if you actually give it a bit of time without going into that mindset that you might be thinking, well, it's crap, I don't want to watch like girls play, or it's not the same. If you actually just go into it with your football head, I think, just going to sit and watch a football match, I guarantee 9 out of 10 will come away loving it. So yeah, the journey's been great. And now just the fact that it's so accessible now, like as a little youngster, it was just about me playing with my team at the weekends, and there was no come home, watch the girls play in the evening or catch up with the results. And now they do, and I just feel I'm so happy for those little girls now that have it. So I know I always go back to me playing football, but it is what it is, isn't it? It's always a little girl inside of you that looks at it now and just think, wow, if I was just a little girl now, it'd be great.
I know, I'm totally on the same page as you. I'm going to quickly touch on Reading and Brighton, and then we'll move over to the Merseyside derby. Adam, what happened? Brighton threw it away.
Yeah.
I mean, Sarri scored twice within 5 minutes. Emma Harris comes off the bench, and then 2 goals in 4 minutes just to outdo them. I mean, I think, are Brighton kicking themselves?
Will be, although you did say Reading were the survivors. Reading are your favourites. You did say.
Yeah, I did, but that was until I realised they had 2 games in hand for Brighton. So yeah, I'm hoping they'll be survivors, because they're the only, as I said, they're the only team not backed by the men's team.
It's interesting, yes, because Brighton and Reading. I mean, there's a reason why they're the last team, match on our menu tonight. I mean, it's no offense to either team, but they're not the Hollywood. They are the mid-table scrappers trying to stay, out of the relegation zone, and I think both of them will do it. Brighton, obviously, they're working back with their new interim manager at the moment. Good start. But this is obviously, and this, as they say, like with the Premier League, this is the WSL. This can happen. This is the excitement we've all been craving. So I think fair play to Reading on this one. Great courage to claw that back to 2-2. Points shared, but again, it's a result that sort of hasn't. Because, again, falling back to what I said earlier, because there's only one relegation zone and we all know it's going to be Leicester this time around, they're the ones who've drawn the short straw and are going back down to the Championship with a return ticket. They know they're going to be safe. That pretty much, unless something ludicrous happens and Leicester win every game and say Brighton lose every game, it doesn't happen. So
yeah,
it's just do
you know what I think? I think they have the potential to get out of the relegation battle and leave it to Reading and Leicester. You know that. I really do. I know they've got to play Everton, and Everton are looking really good after that Merseyside derby, which ended up at 1-1. Goal for Gabby George in a 100 WSL appearance. What's a goal? I did enjoy the highlights for that. Even Katie Stengel's goal was good. Although there was a bit of a question of her being offside. I was looking at that and I went, do you know what? If VAR was up there, that would be a Saka toe out of line and it would have been offside all day long. But thankfully, we don't have VAR. I think the main thing for me here is that goal that was chalked off. Was it off? Should it have been chalked off, Matt, from where you were sitting in Merseyside?
It was one of those really weird ones. It was very much when you look at it, it was a goalmouth scramble. You don't know what's happening. And then you think, this is going to be given because there's nothing wrong with that. It turns out that the linesman had spotted that it wasn't Rowe who scored the goal. I believe it was Stengel at the time who was pushing on Courtney Brosnan, who had a fantastic game. She kept Everton well into it. And it wasn't just the fact that she was pushing and shoving her, it was the fact that she also was in the line of vision. But because the linesman saw on the screen that she was also offside, she waved a flag, and that's why it was given in the end. But we were talking a bit off air as well about Jessica Park's goal. I'm still not sure, but when I looked at it from where I was, it looked like Jess Park had just hit it off her shoulder and she scored a really good goal. But it turned, as you guys have mentioned, that apparently she has hit her hand, which is fair enough. And it was one of those games where that I loved, and one of the reasons why I love the WSL and how open it is because of how anything can happen. Like Everton went to Anfield and ended up winning 3-0. Imagine that happening in the Premier League. But it wasn't just that. It was the fact that it was a fantastic night. Everyone was really enjoying it. There wasn't like a bad bone. There wasn't going to be any fights or anything like that. It was just, you're here to enjoy the football, and that was what you're there for. Fantastic. Anyone could have won that game, and the fact of the matter is, Liverpool now look at that and go, right, okay, 1 point, and we're safe now. And Everton will look at that as go, right, okay, that was a point drop, but we could have quite easily kept up with Villa. So there's a lot to still play for. I think in terms of Everton, they want to try and improve on that points tally that they, considering last season they just scraped above the relegation zone, and now they're in that top flight. Middle of the table scramble, if you want to call it that. But it'll be very interesting to see how far these teams can go, especially Liverpool next season.
It's good to see Everton a bit more stable after the car crash of last season, where they just changed managers every 3 games and just almost just float.
So we sort of back again. Internet completely cut. So now I'm back on using my phone. Hopefully it will hold. So was it a questionable call then by the referee to chalk this goal off then?
I think so. It was just I think it's just one of those where you've got to question about the stadium as well, because the stadium was able to replay the goal itself, and then she was able to say, "Oh, this and this has happened." Essentially, what was a VAR interaction, which shouldn't have happened because of that. But it's just one of those. I think this is one of the reasons why I love the WSL. This is what I was trying to say, but unfortunately, it stopped recording. But it's one of the reasons you get instances like this that you don't see week in, week out in the men's game, and it's just fantastic. And it just adds to the atmosphere. It adds to the
It adds
drama
to the
of a
debate,
league.
doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it adds to the debate. It's like the debate before VAR existed. You could sit down and have a pub and just like, oh no, this was offside, this was offside, that shouldn't have counted. Da, 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 da. That's the sort of thing as a football fan that we want to be doing. But yeah, no, that derby though, that was electric. What was it? Was it electric? That's the main thing. It just sounded absolutely bloody brilliant. If I'm honest with you, Matt.
I was sitting in the wrong end. If I'm honest, I was. I could barely.
No. Do you know what? You never sit in the wrong end. I mean, I think you did it in the Euros at one point, but you hardly ever do that. Normally, you're in the thick of it, like Mr. Adam over here on access all areas for Arsenal.
So, just to put it into perspective, those that don't know, a lot of the Evertonians that's at Goodison, the singing section is in the Gladys. I was in the park end, so I was in the wrong end, but I wanted to, because Goodison Park is going to be closing soon because it's going to be a new stadium. I thought, right, I'll go on the park end because it's somewhere new. I haven't been there before, and I want to see what it's like in there. It's dead. It's quiet. And let's be honest. The away section in Liverpool, the only times they were singing was when they scored the goal, and that was it. Didn't hear anything else out there.
Oh, I had that dreaded Liverpool song. It's a bit like the Chelsea one, and it's a bit draining. So yeah, no, that's all I had out of them all game. But it did. There's nothing like a proper derby. I mean, with the Everton-Liverpool rivalry, that's what you want to see. And you want to see that in the North London derby, but Spurs kind of just want to be nice. Some of their fans just want to be nice to everyone, and it's not going to stay like
this is exactly
that. It's not going to happen.
This is what
time to move on. But we are going to move on to our... Go on.
I was just saying, Matt Beard said it full time. He was like, "Oh, this is lovely, isn't it? This is
very, very short and sweet. I mean,
no anger, no nastiness, just nice people having nice times with their family and kids." And it's just like, no. That's how it was. We are evolving. You need the edge. Without the edge, football is nothing. So please park those that at the door. Thank you very much. But we'll just probably discuss that on another podcast.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll dive into that for sure. Because it needs to be spoken about, especially after the events that I got myself into trouble with social media about, which we will go into at a later time. Otherwise, I'm going to be here talking all night. So we're going to quickly jump into the Bayern preview. After this weekend, do you think we're ready for it? Yeah. And what do you think improvements from that game can be?
To be fair, I thought we played very well last week, and we were, of course, coming back with it's just 1-0, wasn't it? I think. Yeah. Sorry, I just lost my brain then. Yeah, coming back home at the Emirates with that result was obviously we would have wanted to win, but I thought that was a really good setup for us. In any other game, you'd take that all day long. Bayern are a good team. But you have to remember, so are we. I think with they're back at the Emirates, as we say, good crowd there for a midweek tomorrow. And yeah, we'll be ready. We're back in confidence, I feel, ever since the Conti Cup win, getting back into the title race, as we've said. And yeah, we're ready for it. We're sort of getting past the patch where we struggled with the injuries that we got, and now I think some players have stepped up, and I think they'll be ready to put on a show again tomorrow. So fingers crossed we can get through it. All we got to do is get that early goal.
Oh no, definitely that would be nice. Hopefully we are using goal line technology after me and Adam found out that they weren't using it over the Allianz. To say the least, we were not impressed. But Adam, Matt, what have we got to do to get this over the line? I mean, we're only 1-0 down. It's not that bad.
Yeah, my simple message is play like we did at the second half on Wednesday, and we'll be fine. The teams have found their scoring boots again at the weekend, so no doubt they will go. If they play with that level of confidence, with that level of ruthless, to run a goal, they'll be fine. Obviously, we need to rely on Bayern being as naff as they sort of were in that second half. Should add that they played Wolfsburg at the weekend, just gone, and won 1-0 with a Jordan Stanley penalty. So, how much will that have taken that out of their system? We'll wait and see. Arsenal should be confident. We're looking at 20,000 in the stadium, which is matching roughly what Bayern achieved at their place.
I've got to say that is the biggest amount of fans I've seen at a Champions League game. Just before Christmas, it was only 7,000.
Yeah,
or just over.
I think we got maybe 10 or 12,000 for the Barcelona game, but that's because it was Barcelona. So to get 20,000 in, looking at the stadium map, it's everything on the lower tier apart from the clock end, pretty much.
Nice. That's 3 stands. That's massive for a midweek game.
It's looking good, and tickets are still on sale. So if you haven't already, get one. We need you to make some noise. But these are the matches. You don't win. We want to play. You don't win the Champions League with a few easy wins to the run. You need to play the best, and we're playing what looks like it's going to be the best team in Germany. So we want to be in these matches, and we've proved we can compete at this level. What I saw I said it before, I say it again. What I saw in Bayern Munich was the best away performance I've seen this Arsenal put up, especially in Europe, against that caliber of opposition. So it's just about that psychological jump off, a hurdle, getting that win. Yeah. And we can do it. Unless something stupid happens, like, I know, have to get sent off after 5 minutes, or we consider stupid penalty.
I swear, if that happens, I am going to absolutely wring your neck. I am going to come and find you in the Emirates.
Well,
I'm not even joking.
It's been a pleasure being on the
This
Vic
sort of stuff is what jinxes us, and it scares me. Right, if anybody sees Adam Salton first, I give you full permission to throttle him. If this happens, I am currently touching wood, so it doesn't happen, but absolutely full permission. Damien, if you're listening, you've got my full permission.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure speaking on the Vic Akers podcast. I just want to dedicate this to whoever comes after me. No,
I'm not serious, people. I'm only messing about, but
I am
Adam has been known to predict stuff,
and
it comes true. I mean, look at the scoreline over the weekend, although it was 5-1.
If we win in front of 20,000 fans at Emirates Stadium, and it's a good win, that is a sort of a springboard moment. Not saying we're in the Champions League, but in terms of interest, we're getting more on the stadium than we would have done if it was played at Meadow Park. So we're going to have, we'll have goal on technology, we'll have VAR, all that stuff, and it will be a decent crowd. If Arsenal turn up and win, that's 20,000 fans. If we cut the difference, so we say, call it 16,000 fans, so we say they don't normally go to Meadow Park. They'll see that and they'll think, and they win. I like that. Especially, and if they don't win, if the players play out their skins, and they don't give up, they don't bottle it like certain other teams in North London, they'll come back. And it's all about advertising the women's team tomorrow night, and I really hope they put up a good show. And if they get the win, even better.
When I was in Munich with Adam, I was looking at that game and going, you know what, I'd happily take the 1-0. Even if it was a win or if it was a loss, because if it was going to be a tight game, it always was. What I didn't expect was the other games to follow suit. I was expecting Lyon to win their game 3 or 4-0, and that would be the tie over.
You let us down.
But going into this game, you look at it and you think, what can you improve on? Well, first of all, don't make sure that Laura is actually not defending the tallest player. Just to put it into perspective, I'm 5'5.5". Adam is over 6 foot. It's essentially, if I'm marking Adam's getting to that ball first. So make sure that whoever's marking Leah Shaw, it's not Laura.
I think Palova's going to start. I think he'll might put Maritz at right back, McCabe left back. I think he might start Palova in this one. I really hope she does start, because I think she deserves a chance to perform at the Emirates starting. And I really hope if she does start, she maybe gets a goal.
That lovely photo of her as well when she's a little girl and she's in front. It's just before the statues were in as well, and she hasn't got her Arsenal shirt on, but I imagine that would be her dream. And the fact of that, she didn't make her debut against Chelsea when she could have, because she was it was Jonas decided not to. Imagine that emotion that she'll be feeling. She comes on for an Emirates debut, if you like, then. And I have a feeling if she can perform as well as she did at the weekend against Bayern as well, because when she came on, she was fantastic. I have a feeling that she's going to do something, and it might be a fantastic assist. It might be a world-class goal that Katie McCabe will be proud of. But I think there's nothing more that you'd want than one of your own players or a fan of the club to come in and score so much. But we saw it with Lottie last season, how much it meant to her.
That was my first Arsenal women's goal.
That was awesome. That was awesome. And for Palova, obviously.
In my heart, it was my first goal live. And I started to think, from Lotta Wobbenmoy, the Tobin Heath, was it really a set piece? And that goal has always got a warm spot in my heart, because someone on this podcast likes to call me a jinx for turning up to the games and sitting on club level with him. So, not mentioning no names, but he is currently chuckling away at me and waving his fists in the air. Very smug looking. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. I know we've had some technical difficulties, which I am going to fix. So everybody who is listening, I do apologise. BT Internet didn't want to work tonight, so it completely cut out 3/4 of the way of the recording.
Found internet worse than the hotel Wi-Fi.
Yes, mine's never done this either. That's the funny part. But again, guys, thank you for joining me, and I will see. We are back on Friday. Got another special guest joining myself, Adam and Matt. So which will be fun. It will be a very first podcast she's ever done. It's so super exciting. And we'll be back with our review and our preview for City on the weekend. For now, everyone take care, and come on, you Arsenal.